George? Okay, let's go with him now. Mr. Martin George, attorney at law. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning to you, Brother Big, and good morning to Tobago.
Right, I'm not seeing you. However, we'll get you up. Oh, yeah, yeah, here you are with that brilliant smile. And you like to give me endorsement. Go ahead and talk about the people all over the world, man. I love when you do that.
Listen, after after the last elections, listen,
Uh,
the viewership has expanded.
oh, my
I
God.
understand in Fiji, in Finland, in Reykjavik, all over the place, Helsinki.
Yeah.
They're tuning in now because
All right.
everybody's excited to see how Tobago is going to take us forward, into the new year.
Very good. All right, but let me ask you before we go in. A caller just called in and asked, is it legal to have a recount at this point in time on any given
The thing
seat?
is, it is possible to request it. Of course, the ramifications after people have been sworn in, these are things that one has to consider in a very serious way. But it is not impossible to make the request.
All right. Okay. Fine. All right. Well, let's go into, and I want you, and I know you will be as honest.
Of course, Brother B, as to whether it's sensible or practical, it's a different issue.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, and so it's bordering on both nonsensical and unreasonable. All right. So let's leave that there. All right. Let's go into this. All right. So Farley or the PDP would have won the election. A great gentleman, based on what we are seeing. Your assessment of what you heard on Friday when he addressed the media. And I think there's where you could really judge an individual leading a new executive in the THA.
Yes, well, I mean, the thing is, of course, Farley has grown and matured over the years. We've all watched him grow into the role, so to speak, and I think that's part of the charm and what endears him so much to all of us in Tobago, because you basically get the feeling, well, yes, this is our wee boy, so to speak, if one were to use the local parlance, and he has also remained very grounded, in terms of, being part of his community, serving his community. He has not lost that touch in terms of, trying to assume airs. And, I saw in an interview, he said, he has to get accustomed to the new security arrangements because he's accustomed driving for himself. And, they're telling him, well, no, you have to sit down in the back seat. And he said, well, he's not accustomed to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, the point is, once he keeps that and doesn't lose that and understands at the end of the day that the same people who have put you up and elevated you are the same ones who can bring you down. So I mean, once he keeps that in the forefront and he keeps, God as his guide and the people as his focus, I think that he has the potential to do tremendously well in the position.
All right, good. So let's go now into the portfolio of the executive. 7 members of his team are now holding portfolios. Let's talk about the
Well, actually,
discharging of the
14,
duties.
because you have 7 assistant secretaries also.
Oh yes, all right, okay, right. But so let's go to the responsibility that he has himself has undertaken of finance, which is the most critical, would you say? And tell us about what guidance will he need in that department?
Well, I mean, the thing is, of course, finance is one of the most important divisions in the Tobago House of Assembly, because you really have to look at, in terms of your budget, which I think is one of the priorities. They intend to try and lay the budget in January. And then you have to look at your allocations as to where the money is being spent, where the money is going to come from for the next fiscal year. So it is one of the most important portfolios. And certainly we hope that he would seek the guidance of persons who are trained in economy, finance, financial management, and also law, because you can't escape the legal aspect of things in terms of what you can or cannot do. In terms of, for instance, I know there's talk about trying to go on the international capital markets to leverage financing and to have borrowing powers. So of course all these things must be done within the ambit of the four corners of the law to ensure that what you're doing is something that can withstand scrutiny. So
All right.
I think that certainly he has, the work cut out ahead of him in terms of trying to rescue, revive, and revamp the economy in Tobago. But I think there's a breath of fresh air in the island, and people are eager and optimistic. So it's a question of living up to expectations.
All right. Where does the chamber fit in? You extended congratulations, I suspect, already by letter, formally or informally. And
Yes, we did so.
all right. And where do you stand ready to assist? Let's say that.
Well,
Tell us where, given in finance, and let's stay with finance, given we need to regenerate or to revamp, as you said, the economy and get it started all over again. Where does the chamber fit in here?
Well, the thing is certainly, Brother B, in terms of ideas and suggestions and being able to work along with the administration so that we can come up with comprehensive, constructive plans to ensure the economic viability of Tobago and Tobagonians. And the reason why I stress on that is because what we have observed over the last few decades is that the THA has been developed into this behemoth, which is the all-consuming, all-encompassing power whereby everybody nurses and suckles and feeds off the THA. So it's either you want a THA job to be employed or a THA contract of employment, or you want a THA contract to provide goods or services to the THA. Everything has been THA, THA, THA. And the reason why this has been nurtured and fostered is because those who controlled the THA wanted to control the lives of each and every Tobagonian. So in other words, if you are dependent upon me for your living or your source of living, if you have a fleet of trucks or cars and you are renting them only to the THA, then that means the THA calls the shots, the THA pulls the strings. And that is what has developed over the years as part of the culture of the previous administration. That was their deliberate and plan to ensure that Tobagonians remained dependent upon them and therefore subject and subservient to them. So we of the chamber, we would be trying to encourage young Tobagonians to become entrepreneurs. We would want to provide that assistance to the THA so that we can host, workshops, conventions, training sessions, motivational sessions. Because listen, we want people to tap into the potential they have within them. I have seen some young Tobagonians come up with some very creative and brilliant ideas, but they just lack the marketing ability, they lack the encouragement, they lack the finance, they lack the nurture and the guidance. We want to be able to create something wonderful and beautiful out of this little space we call Tobago. We all have the potential. Tobagonians are very talented. Brother, you go anywhere in the world. I tell you, I was in Hawaii, in the line for immigration, and there's a guy from Tobago working there as one of the immigration officers. He's a Martin George. We are all over the world.
Yes.
We're in Switzerland, we're in France, we're in Germany, we're occupying positions of power and influence. And that diaspora, that Tobago diaspora, it's a powerful potential, market that we can use and tap into to help train and improve the lives of ordinary Tobagonians. We have persons who want to come and invest. We of the chamber have said repeatedly, we want the immediate and unconditional repeal of the Foreign Investment Act. That is one of the things we want them to do.
All right, let me go into that, because that is where I really want to focus the conversation around to some extent. But as you're bringing it up, let's deal with that. What needs to be done in the first instance? Farley is there, Chief Secretary, obviously, wants to have investment made with foreign investors and so on into Tobago, but you know what is hindering that from happening presently. Just give us a backdrop as to the history from the Arthur Napoleon era to where we are now, and what can be done to eradicate the blockage.
Well, the present hindrance was created. This would have been, I think, when the Honorable Orville London was Chief Secretary. So this would have been in 2008 when that legislation was brought into place, the Foreign Investment Act. What it does, it creates a series of hurdles. It's like an obstacle course, Brother B, right? Whereby any foreign investor, you have to jump through hoops. You have to limbo under the bar. You have to run through the tires. You have to climb a ladder. You have to scale a wall. you have to do the rope swing, you have to cross the river. Every single obstacle that they could put in your way, they have done so to prevent foreign investment. That's the objective. Because if you recall, when Orville London made his statement, Tobago must be for Tobagonians, which we have no difficulty with the philosophy with that. But at the end of the day, if you do not have the direct foreign investment to help to develop your island, then you will always run into problems. And other islands, for instance, St. Vincent, Grenada, St. Lucia, they are encouraging foreign investment. So therefore, they're rolling out the red carpet, welcoming investors. We in Tobago still with this backward, foolish thinking, of chasing and running foreign investors. At the end of the day, what you have to do, you have to work smart. Don't be foolish and ignorant and backward and like a prehistoric type of troglodyte. You need to be able to understand how to leverage these financial inputs. So therefore, you put in your laws and your rules and your regulations. For instance, I could tell you, in Bermuda, if you want to buy property over a certain value, the government says, well, okay, yes, sure, we welcome you. However, the minimum you are able to spend must be $1 million US. And then you must pay $100,000 each year US to maintain that property. So in other words, you use it as a means of generating income. Then in terms of if somebody wants to invest, for instance, in a property to develop, say, for instance, a hotel development or a guest house complex or whatever, then what you have to do, you put things in place. You say, okay, sure, no problem, we welcome you. However, there must be 25% local content. So in other words, you must find a local partner in Tobago, a Tobagonian, who is able to invest 25% with you so that you now develop this together. So therefore, in that way, you have the knowledge transfer. You are leveraging economies of scale. So therefore, the foreign investor is now able to share knowledge. There's that knowledge transfer. That is how you develop. You don't bury your heads in the sand and be backward, ignorant, and stupid to say, well, let all foreigners stay out.
Okay. When we come back, we explore further the foreign investor that can help in boosting and to build a stable economy here in Tobago. We'll see you after the break, Mr. George.
Sure.
All right. Well, I know you're having your Christmas party and thing, but we're going to keep it small, right? So we're going to have a...
Well, I can't have it at all.
All right.
Yeah. COVID shut down everything.
Right.
Listen, many people calling me already and asking me, they say, well, Christmas night, we come in. I said, no, we can't have anything this year.
Exactly.
So maybe next year.
Very good, of course. I understand. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so the Marriott, the hotel, the Marriott, yes, that's what at Little Rocky Bay, that's a piece of real estate that investors has found to have value. They want to invest. What is wrong with that? There is some quarrel in some quarters that there may be some issues that the new THA may have with that arrangement. Tell us what is wrong with it and how it can be fixed to accommodate that foreign investment.
Well, the thing is going to be, let me tell you, I mean, it's a fact that I always say, persons who spend their time constantly looking for problems are never disappointed. Because, in other words, you could always find a problem or an issue or an argument or a quarrel to make about something. I always prefer, instead of looking for problems, I like to look for solutions. So therefore, whatever it is, I think that we can find a way to navigate, to work our way out of it. We have seen situations where, for instance, in other islands, where they have developed tourism projects, hotel projects, which have been environmentally sensitive, which are eco-friendly, which serve to develop the natural resources in the island to ensure sustainability and continuity in terms of the development. So there are ways and means around these things. I do not ever subscribe to the view, Brother B, that, well, okay, we must always look at the negative or look at the problems and the issues. No, let us look at finding solutions. And, it's something that I always tell my staff. I always say, listen, I don't want to hear about how difficult or challenging or how many problems you had, You know what I want to hear? Hey, it was hard, but I found a solution.
Excellent.
What a way to do it.
Very good.
That's the new approach I want to see us take. And
Excellent.
I'm hoping to keep in touch with the administration, to ensure that they also have that vision of us finding solutions instead of creating problems.
All right, good. Let me look at another, the opportunity for to invite investments. We think, and you would know, that we are still struggling to sell Tobago. We think that Tobago is known. You go to any part of Europe and you tell them you're from Tobago, they will say, oh, Trinidad or Jamaica. And they still think that Tobago, or we still believe in our minds, or what Tobagonians, that the world knows where we are. All right. So let's say Six Flags theme park wants to a piece of real estate to set up a theme park as large as the Six Flags brand. How accommodating should that be? And how do we make that happen? And do we need that to happen? And if that happens, what happens from an economic standpoint?
Right. So, Brother B, I would suggest that we welcome investment and ideas of that nature. What we need to do is ensure that we manage it and that we put the guardrails around it so that we ring fence it to ensure that it keeps within our overall sustainable development plans for Tobago. But the fact of the matter is, Brother B, listen, if we don't want to wake up and smell the coffee, the reality is that the world has moved to brand tourism. That is what it is all about. It is brand tourism. The idea is that you must have a brand. So even if your brand is Tobago, then that's what you sell. But at this point, you recognize that for all the decades and all the plans and all the foreign trips that our tourism officials have done, they don't even know what is brand Tobago. So they don't even have a clue or an idea. And in fact, out there in Europe, there are some persons who already have a negative impression. You know, I was in Italy and I was speaking with a tour promoter. And what she said when she heard I was from Tobago, she said, oh, Tobago, many of my clients who go there, they come back and they say two things. Low quality, high price. And, I was ashamed. I said, no, I said, there's a whole lot more to Tobago than that. But she said, that's the experience they have. So in other words, we need to understand what our product is and then begin to package and market it in a way that sells. But I'll tell you, the brand tourism gives us an immediate jump and fillip because what happens is that persons internationally, once they recognize the brand and they can associate with that brand, they will come to your island regardless, which is why I was always in favor of the Sandals project, because Sandals is an internationally known brand which sells your island. When they put a Sandals in Tobago, what they will advertise internationally on the billboards in New York, in Manhattan, they will say Sandals Tobago.
Exactly.
So people don't even know where Tobago is. They know Sandals and they will say, hey, look, there's a new Sandals in this place called Tobago. Let's go. And that's how you benefit. You work then with the developer and you say, hey, listen, all right, so if you put in our Sandals in Tobago, we need to ensure that our farmers, our fishermen, they have a guarantee of, say, for instance, you need 400 pounds of redfish every week. So therefore, you work with the fishermen and you say, all right, okay, so this boat captain, he has a contract to supply that. But of course, he now has to live up to his end of the bargain, because when the guest sits down at the dining table in Sandals and said, listen, I want to order the redfish, you had better make sure that you have supplied your redfish. So, we have to understand that responsibility that goes with it. But the point is there are tremendous benefits. I always use Grenada as an example. When the Sandals were supposed to go in Grenada, Grenadians were all up against it. Now, every Grenadian is singing the praises of the Sandals because what they've done, they've raised the standard, they've raised the level of service, and there's so much spillover business for everybody that you end up with a scenario where when the tide rises, all the boats rise with the tide.
All right, and I'm glad you said that, and your interest in the new THA, and if we are not careful, the politics can chase away, as you would have said, the investors who will do well for our economy. Now, and I want to just to go to this presence of this new hotel that is going to come. We did not get through with the other brand. However, this brand can do just as well as Sanders, or can do better, only if we allow the right investment to take place and to allow what else comes with it so as to bring additives to the economy. Take it from there.
Right. So the thing is going to be what we need, first of all, is a level of transparency and clarity. And I think, with the management or maybe mismanagement of the whole Sandals debacle, I think that's where the government fell down tremendously. There really was not enough clarity in terms of the MOU, what were the terms and the arrangements, so that the people couldn't understand, well, hey, what is really going on? It was almost kept as if it's a secret, as if, well, this is something taking place behind closed doors, and the people did not feel a part of it. So I would hope that with this new Marriott project, that there would be a difference. There would be the town hall meetings, there would be the public consultation, so that the people in Tobago can get comfortable with the idea. They can understand what are the benefits, they can understand what are the negatives. So therefore, you have to be frank. You have to say, well, okay, look, these are the pluses, these are the minuses. You make your decision. What do you think? How do you feel about it? And you get them involved in it. Then you will be able to show, well, okay, look, during construction phase, we're going to have 25% of the labor force is going to be from Tobagonians. Your electricians, your plumbers, your carpenters are going to benefit. All the hardware stores in Tobago are going to benefit, because you could have, something built into the contract that, look, okay, a certain percentage of the materials they must take from hardware stores in Tobago, that kind of thing. And let me tell you, as a practical necessity, you will have to buy some things in Tobago anyhow. You can't bring up everything from Trinidad or import everything internationally. So there are benefits. And what we have to learn to do is to leverage those benefits so that we end up at the winning end of the equation. So it's not just to adopt this, this dumb, obstinate approach. Well, we don't want any foreigner, we don't want any foreign investment. At the end of the day, we need the foreign exchange. Trinidad and Tobago as a nation, quick suffering for foreign exchange.
Yeah, quick. Oh boy, we're almost out of time. In fact, we're out of time. And so in closing, just to encourage Farley and his team, and maybe wish him all the best again.
Well, I mean, certainly what I would say is that, the road ahead is long, it's tortuous, it's difficult. Don't underestimate the enormity of the task. Don't underestimate the burden of responsibility which has been placed on your shoulders. However, you need to understand that once you are put into this position, it's up to you to live up to the anticipation and expectations. Tobagonians are people who will support you. They will be there for you, but you have to ensure that you keep your feet grounded while you keep reaching for the stars.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. George, and all the best to you, and compliments of the season, and all the best to you. Yes? All right. Good. All right. So we've come to the end of Rise and Shine. And, of course, you will join D Jam and I inside Cup of Tea. And we'll take you through the places. And with that, here's one of my favorite Baran boy. Hey, all you know start me, man. That's the idea. Hey, embrace the urgency. For tomorrow is a mystery. Let's go.